Welcome to The Whole Truth, and this is a whole new episode. We are live with, well, not live like Facebook Live, but we're live with three of my best friends in the whole world. This is Paul Thomas. He's pastor at Salt and Light and also head of school. We've got Mr. Bill Mungari, head of our AV ministry, and just a wisdom-filled man, and I mean that.
Much to say about that.
That's right.
Let's wax along about Bill after you introduce everybody.
I can be longer, Bill.
He's the type that receives the.
Bill, we can talk about all the achievements and everything, man. And then we've got Pastor Kirk with us as well. You all know him from leading music at church. You'll see him if you've ever watched Salt and Light. You'll see him first and very, very front. It's a hard beard to miss.
He's like a front man.
Right.
The beard has a mind of its own.
Yeah, that's right. There's if ever I say Kirk and somebody looks at me a little cross, I go, the guy with the beard up front.
Everybody knows.
Everybody says, "Oh, I know that guy." No, I know you did.
The only challenge there is we've got our Kirks and we've got our Kurts, and there's a little crossover. So you gotta navigate that a little bit. But
look, Kirk is one of my best friends, and then Kurt is one of my best friends.
Right.
And I regularly, when looking them in the face, say the wrong one, and I'm like, I just roll past it like I didn't do it. I'm like, well,
It's like that. You go in for a fist bump and somebody goes for a high five, and you're like, nope, I'm just gonna commit. And you just act like it was all part of the game. So
if they leave their hand open, you just go turkey. Well, part of this podcast, part of the idea here is that I'd love to talk about current events. I'd love to talk about, what's happening in the world. There's one that's happened just this morning that I'd love to get your all's take on. I purposefully did not tell you because I wanted to pull it out.
Surprise.
Be careful if you want an honest take. I don't know.
I want honest take. That is the goal. And then also I want to talk through the sermons. I want to talk through what we just did yesterday in church and talk about, the things that you don't have time when you're limited to 35 minutes. That either we can dive deeper into those ideas or even expand upon ideas that we didn't get to talk about just because it's limited. I mean, you cannot get everything. I always love when people come to me after a church service and like, you missed whatever, and I'm like, well, no, I didn't miss it. I got what I could get, So
this is the extended version. This is the long form DVD.
This is the long form. This is the chance for us to look into the text and say, I mean, if we're going to preach expository, you're never going to be able to dive all the way down. And we were just talking about this with Bill earlier. He's talking about a friend of his that they're getting together and doing a Bible study.
Deep dive.
And so they started with the Gospel of Mark, and I said, what'll be great is you'll spend a year, 2 years, 3 years in the Gospel of Mark, and then you'll move on and you'll do something else. And then you're going to come back one day and somebody's going to say something and it's going to hit you and you're going to, how did I miss that?
Right on. For sure.
All of this time, how did I miss that? So, but it's the living word, and so that's the way it goes. So that's the idea. And then, of course, I think something that I always love to hear about is other churches. I don't mean this like a nosy nilly when I say this, but I like to hear about church business. I love to hear about what churches are doing. I don't mean that in like I want to be in their business. I mean to say I love to hear about things that are happening at church, at another church. Things that are happening, and so I'd love to be able for us to talk about those things. So, anyways, that's it, man. Here we are. I don't have a name for it yet. We'll have to come up with a name for this segment.
We could wax hours on that one too. Good stuff, but. We've got the original name up there, so we could come up with something good.
Yeah, the whole truth is kind of like it's kind of an umbrella, that got everything started. But we definitely I want to figure out something that's unique to us. That'd be pretty great. And I'd love to bring some other people on here. I'd love to get some local pastors and maybe even some that are not local. Maybe we could even figure out. I've been working on how to stream people in. I don't know. I mess that up every time I'm on other people's streams. And so I'm like,
it's going to be challenging. It's a whole skill set, man. This is exciting to me, and I've always loved this. I love just having conversation, but as easy as it as easy as it seems, man, there's just so much minutia. It's daunting. When you want to get into something like this, it's like, I just want to talk to people. It's just not that easy,
We were on a podcast. That was a pretty good sized podcast. My wife and I were on a podcast. It was like a good sized podcast. We were excited to be on it. I mean, this guy's an author. He's written books, and they've invited us. We're like, I can't believe they've invited us to this podcast. And our camera kept overheating.
Oh,
Really? I didn't know it was a thing. It's the thing.
I didn't know it was a thing either.
We had this Nikon camera, and so you have to set the settings to whatever to be able to plug it in the computer. And so we did that, and they did a test stream with us 2 weeks before they did a test stream. And so test stream was fine because we didn't run the camera for more than 20 minutes.
Right.
But then when we got live, we're trying to record with this guy and the camera keeps dying. And so we ended up having to use the webcam on our laptop. It's all grainy. It was terrible. And it was awful.
They'll feel bad because all those newscasters and stuff, they'll like screening, some military expert and his camera's all blurry and he's got dumb stuff on the wall in his background. So you're a good company.
Yeah, I'm in Iraq. It's rough because of that.
Speaking of which, this is the first time that the three of us, I think, have seen the new studio setup, man.
This is great.
This is awesome.
I've seen reels and stuff of you kind of building this and putting it all together, but to be here and be part of it, man, like Kirk said, he's coming in kind of hot. And I haven't had a chance to really dive in and compliment you either on all your efforts, but man, this is great.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, what typical me, I was like, all right, I'm going to finish this thing out in 2 weeks.
Right.
And like about 2 months later, everything takes way longer than I thought. So that ceiling took me forever.
It looks great.
Yeah, it worked out well. I mean, I was trying to make it cozy. So I don't know.
It's cozy.
It's really cool in here for sure.
Well, it's a giant cooler because I have filled up in between every stud. I filled it up. I was telling Paul earlier. I bought spray foam.
I saw the foam. I saw that whole thing.
Okay, so the thing was that was pretty expensive to put the spray, and it was like the actual spray stuff. It was in these cans, and those cans are like $40 a piece or something.
Yeah.
And they get about one rafter, in between one rafter, and so it cost me a ton to do that ceiling. And so I was like, okay, I want to do the walls. I find this guy on Facebook, and he's got them for $40 a case. You get 12 cans in the case.
Right.
I get them home. I'm all excited. I put it in the gun, and it comes out like a tube, like icing on a cake.
Oh.
But it's like that big around. And so I'm like, I'm in it.
Here we go.
I filled up in between every stud.
Wow.
I literally filled everyone up. I would tell Kelly, I'm like, I'm going to go ice the shed. And I would go out and I would spread it.
Here we go.
But it is completely insulated. Like it's completely foamed in between everything. So hopefully it'll help with sound.
Yeah.
We're coming up in the summer months, so we'll find out. The sound, yes, but the temperature as well.
That's
today couldn't be a more perfect day, man. This is great.
Yeah. Today works well. If we're all here sweating one day.
Yeah. It'll just add to the ambiance.
I will be wearing the sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's right. You probably will have to lose the sweatshirt at some point.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right, y'all. Did anybody see the picture that Trump posted today?
No, not yet.
All right.
Oh boy.
Anybody got it? Can we see it?
Should I be gurgling it?
But go ahead and describe it.
I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to show you. I'll put it up on the screen when I edit this so that you guys can see what you all are about to see.
Okay.
So, oh man, I was going to pull it up because my wife texted it to me. I just saw it. She's texted me and said, the thrift store is packed.
Hey, let's go.
I don't know if I should go help, but that'll have to come later.
Talk fast.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's amazing.
Here we go. This is the screenshot that was sent to me. This is from the real Donald Trump. Who wants to go first?
I don't
even know if
he posted this. Are you kidding me,
Paul?
Oh my goodness! There's so many details in here. I don't have time to look at it all, but I'm.
Here, let the guys see it.
Right here. Give me your hot take, Bill.
Are y'all catching the live reaction of
anybody? All right, anybody that has power in the world, I'm like.
You ready for this?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's see it. Go.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
So anybody with power and influence, I'm cautious of.
That's a screenshot. That's what.
I got you. I'm trying to scroll. I'm seeing that. That's the whole thing. And man, I'm not trying to interrupt, but the first thing that comes to my mind is there anybody that does he just do these, or does somebody say hey, yeah, that's a good idea, Don?
There has to. He has. There's no one who does that. He touches it.
Who's going? Yeah. I think this is the move today. Yeah, post that.
So I'm pretty certain we're looking at an AI image, but they've got Trump very much looking like representative of Jesus.
Yeah. He's in robes.
He's in his robe with some sort of a tunic over top of his white robe, and his hands are glowing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I'm really curious about is there's a lady with praying hands. Do you see that in the bottom corner?
Yeah,
See, there's like a lady, like she's got praying hands.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have Trump is putting his glowing hand on this man's head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out, is that man, like, who's that man supposed to be?
I don't know. I was looking at the face. I was trying to scroll down like Kirk.
I don't know
on his face, but is he healing? I mean, is this a mind control thing? Because I know they're mind controlling us, and just in the media perspective.
There are kind of like two thoughts that I have about who that guy could potentially look like. What do you think? If you look at that, Bill, what do you think that guy? Who do you think that guy is? Or maybe I'm overreading it. I'm not trying to do that, but
I don't know. I'd like to know what the
the
information is off of it.
no, I'd pull down my phone. That's the only way we could see it. Maybe I get a screen in here.
Oh, dude.
We could like pull it up on the screen.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Small LED wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Bill. Think bigger.
Then Bill's gonna be jealous.
That's true.
Hey Bill, I have a message from somebody yesterday that said, "Is there any way that we could put the songs that we're singing that we could like put the name of it up on the screen so that we could because we love this. They loved it yesterday."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, we do. You just
in the
can't.
bottom right-hand
You can't
corner.
see it
It's
because
really small.
Well, it's
Yes.
small and
Yeah.
the screen is dim. You
Yeah.
know, so I was like, LED wall. You
Trust me, we're working on it. It's a thing.
So
There's an LED wall in our future.
I hope so.
all right. So can I say
Or a new
something about
projector.
Paul?
Yeah,
it's like you're
people are already all over this, and honestly,
Well, I
the
am.
first thing that pops up, and forgive me, this is going to open another rabbit hole. The first thing that pops up on the internet is Epstein ?
That's what I thought.
that's
It
what-
doesn't look like Jeffrey Epstein.
It doesn't.
This is.
You
I
don't
mean,
think it does?
I've got a
It
close up here. Here's a close up of the guy's face.
Oh yeah, because there's those pictures where people think he's like still alive, or he's got like long hair and a beard and stuff. You know what I'm
There's
saying?
some guy down in Palm Beach that's driving around. That's like a brother or something, or I don't know. He's related to him, and they go, "Oh my gosh, it's him."
All right.
So
Yes or no? Yes or no, Bill? Is Jeffrey Epstein dead?
I don't know.
That's not a yes
Okay.
or no, man.
I would venture.
I
to
don't
say
know how to answer that question, honestly.
I mean, this is getting.
I mean,
deep
clearly
fast.
they have
I have no
said
evidence.
he
First off, I
died.
have
He
no evidence.
supposedly hung himself.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he's on the bottom.
Cameras went off.
Yeah, it's a whole weird thing. And I'll tell you, dude,
He's
like,
on a beach in the Bahamas, probably.
Yeah, honestly, that'd be where my guess would be.
Yeah.
we're at a point in history. I know you guys will agree to this. We're at a point in history where, man, I literally like just question everything.
Yeah.
Like people will say like, "Oh man, I think Jeffrey Epstein is alive. What do you think?" And I'm like, I mean, probably. I mean, it wouldn't be unlike what's going on today
But then-
to have that not be real.
I'm glad you said that because I think on the swing of that, like in the same vein of that, but like I think that swings so far that some people, because they question everything,
Sure.
they're beginning to question things that we know pretty certain.
Yeah.
Even things like the scriptures, even the Bible.
Yeah.
All of a
Yes.
sudden, one of the ones that's getting
That's
me
a
right
good
now is
point,
like
man, yeah.
like the Bible becomes suspect because everyone is questioning everything. But I'm always loving the people who are using the things that are way more suspect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To look, such as Google or ChatGPT,
Right. Oh,
to
yeah.
then say, "Oh, well, the Bible, this or that," and I go, "You got that information from, from the internet that should be questioned
Right.
way
Yeah,
harder
sure.
than the scriptures that have been handed down for years." And then even more when somebody hands me an Ethiopian Bible and wants to say, "Oh, well, what's with all these books and there's Ethiopian this and Ethiopian that," and I'm like,
Sure.
well. Hold up, like they start handing me Book of Enoch, and saying, "Oh well, the Book of Enoch says," and I hand it back to him. I'm like, "Hold up a second, like which one do you trust, Genesis or Book of Enoch? You're gonna have to choose which one you trust." So yeah, I think it's good to question everything, but at the same time, I do feel like that pendulum is swinging really far.
Yeah.
I've used this analogy multiple times, when teaching the teenagers, for youth group and various other things. And I think we're going back to an Old West mentality, right?
Yeah.
I'm only going to believe things that my close circle brings to me.
Yeah.
If you come to me and, "Hey, Paul, this is fact, this happened." Okay, cool, I can accept that and move on. Anything on the internet, especially with AI nowadays, is totally untrustworthy. So it's just, I feel like we're reverting back to, the age of the internet, and things have grown and become so, relevant, tangible, and like, hey, I can get information really fast, to now we trust nothing, and, like you said, that does lead into a slippery slope of, now we're opening the door to let's question things that are real and have been real for a long time. Don't get me started on all the weird.
Well, look at all
ideas
look
like
at
that.
look at all the things that have happened, like with COVID.
Mhm.
I mean, we go through this thing, and now all of a sudden we're questioning medical,
Yeah.
Oh,
vaccinations, all this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm kind of glad it made me question that.
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I, learned-
You
I
and me
learned
both.
some things.
Oh
Yeah,
we
yeah.
learned a lot of things.
Man,
Yes.
my eyes were closed and
Yeah.
I didn't know it.
Right,
I was-
And so I don't think questioning in general is
Yeah.
bad.
Right.
I think it's a way that helps us learn a little bit better about what's what are they feeding us? What's
Sure, sure.
There's a lot of deception in the world, as was depicted in the Bible.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a whole topic, Bill. What are they feeding us?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a-
gosh,
that's a
that's
good
a-
I heard
yeah.
there's creatine in the water now. I'm feeling more swole every day.
Along with the fluoride, right?
I mean, no, they got rid of the fluoride. RFK.
The fluoride's still in there, but
Yeah, I did. That was like an RFK thing. He's
Yeah.
like, we're putting creatine in the water and all this other stuff, man.
my goodness.
I'm serious.
Oh,
100%.
man.
I promise.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that one.
Yeah.
The fluoride's an interesting
Well, you
one.
said, what are they feeding us? And I was like, yeah, fluoride has all these negative things, and creatine, like, you start talking about workout stuff, we're going to rabbit trail, but there's all these studies now that there's cognitive benefits to taking creatine. Like,
Yeah.
if you're exhausted, been up for 24 plus hours, and you take 20 grams of creatine, it brings you back to more awake and aware than you were before, like the day started.
There's a whole thing about people with Alzheimer's.
That is exactly
Yeah.
true. Creatine is a huge thing,
Yeah.
and actually,
They say
there's a lot of misconceptions about that. It's just for bodybuilders.
Right.
I mean, it is really for good health.
Like
And,
your muscles are the greediest part of it, but it helps a lot in your brain.
Your
Your
brain's
brain's
a
a
muscle.
muscle. Your brain's a muscle. That's
Yeah.
But they're talking about, like, I think they're saying, what I've heard is something like triple or quadruple what they recommend to take for bodybuilding.
Mhm.
Yep.
If you're dealing with somebody with Alzheimer's,
Mhm.
you give them creatine, and
Right.
Wow.
it's like super helpful. Like,
Yeah.
they're talking about almost curing it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, these are. I'm using the suspect internet to.
Yeah.
to quote something. I've never done the study of
Yeah.
creatine.
And here we
go.
Certainly.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny when you were talking about how some people take questioning everything too far.
Mhm.
For one, I'm absolutely not saying to question the Word of God, and I know you guys know that.
Absolutely.
But the verse that popped into my mind comes from Matthew 24, where Jesus says, "Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place." He's talking about the end times. But then he says this: "Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away."
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
They're eternal.
Right. That's one thing. Yeah. Don't question God's word.
Yeah.
For those of you that are doing weird stuff with weird books and things that are not biblical,
Guys, this is going to be fun audio. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just realized you didn't press record. I didn't tell you to press record. I thought you did. And so, but it's okay. I'll steal the audio from the camera. And so when it changes right now.
you missed all the rabbit holes.
No, they heard it all.
God's timing.
The sound quality will be.
Right.
They'll be like, "Why do they have those microphones?" And it still sounds like they're in a
They're in a
tent
room.
So
That's okay.
and we're back.
hey, we're back.
So,
But just the point.
Once we looked down and saw the light.
in hindsight, the audio guy needs to be sitting over there next time.
Yeah, there you go.
I was
So red
thinking
means
that
we're
might be
recording, right?
Twiddling, I'm a fidgeter.
I thought I saw you hit it, and I just in my
I didn't
mind,
even know to hit it.
in my mind green meant go, and I was just
That's what I was going to say.
and
I
then
thought.
I was like, that should
I
be
don't
red,
think
and then
that's
I was looked at. I wanted to see what time we were at.
yeah.
and it's G-show time.
The big goose egg.
Hey, it's all right.
Yeah.
Doesn't it sound better?
Yeah, it's
actually
good.
great for me.
Nice.
So good.
The camera still has its own audio.
Yeah.
So I have this little AI thing that will line up that together, so I don't have to I just
Like you have to deal with the
Yeah, I
sliders
just-
anymore.
I just drop them in, and then they just align everything for me.
You know,
Yeah.
I've seen all the, they all start with a big clap.
Oh, yeah.
You got one big sound in the
Yeah.
beginning. So
Yeah.
here we go. We're gonna start
Well,
now.
We learn lessons when we start podcasts.
Right
This
on.
is true.
Yeah.
Remember when you said earlier there's all the little minutia? The record button is
That's
a big
that's
one.
minutia.
That's minutia. It falls in the
that's a big
category.
one.
You got to do that.
Kirk,
yeah.
could we just take a moment and address your Alani there?
Yeah, my drink.
What's it happening?
So speaking about bodybuilding
What kind of
and
voodoo
cognitive
stuff is
function.
that?
Oh, good.
So it happens like every we play this little game called daylight savings, right? And it happens every we like to play this little make believe game.
Yeah.
Every
Where
year,
we're increasing
twice a year.
Right.
The government likes to make us do things.
Yeah.
It's a
By the
social
way,
experiment.
was this past one the last one?
No.
I'm hoping.
Because I
hopeful.
keep saying, I keep
looked into
hearing
that. I read that was a rumor.
I thought there was another state that got rid of it. Potentially Georgia.
No, Arizona doesn't have it.
Arizona does
Really?
not have it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, good for Arizona. If
Yep.
you're from Arizona,
good on you.
tell
Yep.
Jeff
Way to go.
Durbin we said hi and good job.
That's
on
right.
it.
That's right. Yeah. We actually have somebody at church that is related to Jeff Durbin. I don't know if you
I
guys
did
knew
know
that.
that.
Yeah. Jeff's awesome. Jeff, if you ever watch this,
Kudos on the daylight
yes,
savings.
yes.
In your
Good
state.
work.
But yeah, so this drink. So, anyways, every daylight savings, their studies show how it makes people more tired for a little while. And dude, I always get into this to the clutches of energy drinks. It's terrible. And I have a sweet tooth. And Alani's are delicious. I'm in no way promoting Alani. You should not drink them.
I am with you.
But this flavor is cotton candy.
So this is
Don't
where,
let the beard fool you.
This is where we cut to the sponsorship by Lonnie.
Yeah. And
There'd
so,
be a lot more on the table if that were
Yeah.
the case. No.
Probably.
So I'm drinking one of these at seminary about a month ago. And there's some classes that I take where there's people my age, but they also have a program called SimTrack where there can be, 18, 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm in the class and I'm like Uncle Kirk, And so the class is over and I can't remember, but all of a sudden I'm in a position where I'm talking and I'm holding this and I'm drinking it. And there's all these young people just kind of listening to me. And this girl goes, "Oh, cotton candy Alani is the best." She's like an 18-year-old girl. And I'm like, yeah. I'm embarrassed. I feel like I just got caught.
You've just been
Like,
affirmed by the 18-year-old girl in the room.
I'm officially drinking
There
a
you
Barbie drink, and it's affirmed by the youngest.
Kirk starts coming in and they're all spray painted camo. What are you drinking? This is just manliness in a can.
Yeah, you wouldn't know what this is. This is my.
It's like when my wife tries to affirm my truck and tells me it's cute, and I'm like, don't call my truck cute.
Do that. That's,
It's got a 6-foot bed. There's bigger trucks than 4-foot beds.
I know. I tell you, and it never has to be made.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, so that's my.
I just
story
love
on that.
the color scheme of
Oh,
that
yeah,
drink
pink and white.
as you're over there, here you are with the manliest beard in the room.
Yeah,
And
the girliest drink
You
maybe
have that
ever
drink.
invented.
Right, very
be.
possibly.
And it tastes exactly
I
like
was
cotton
almost
candy.
color coordinating with you, so that's maybe a story for another time. But I had to swap
Yeah.
out cups for.
he had a pink cup earlier.
I did.
Did you really?
Oh
did.
yeah. Yeah. It was.
Yeah, so one of my youth group thought it was hilarious. We're going to bring Paul a cup here.
Yeah.
He needs a pink cup.
Yeah.
It was almost a thing, but I couldn't figure out the straw. The technology was too much for me.
Yeah. Hey, what's the old saying? Real men wear pink.
I guess.
Isn't that like a thing?
I have pink shirts.
I have pink golf shirts, but
I feel like it's acceptable in golf. There's certain things that you can get away with the pink.
yeah, you can.
Oh, without a doubt.
I just want
Yeah.
to make all the golf jokes right now.
Not
Not a
There's a
golfer.
lot- hey,
not
we-
a golfer.
Hey, speaking of which, we just finished Masters weekend,
Yep.
and Rory McIlroy won his second green jacket in a row. But man, did you see does anybody follow? So it's a secret, but Bill is a golfer and he's really good.
No, that's
But
not
nobody knows but me and now everybody that watches this.
Yeah.
true. If a golf course is looking to get some sod cut, they call me.
But I'm telling you, man.
If pedestrians or viewers are looking to
Yeah.
get injured, they call me.
So I that favorite number is 4.
Yeah. Well, but so they had an interview. You guys all know how it works. Like after rounds, they interview guys in press conferences, and everybody probably knows who Scotty Scheffler is. Even if you don't play golf, you know who. It's funny. I had a small group, and I started talking about. You don't know who Scotty Scheffler is?
No.
The guy that got arrested
The guy
here
that
in
got
Louisville.
arrested.
Still don't know.
He was
okay.
trying to go to some big golf tournament that they got
And he
here.
went around some security guards and they
Oh.
lost their mind.
Yeah,
And
they, like,
full-on
jumped on
arrested
his-
him, like booked him.
Yeah.
They-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
don't know if booked is the right
He
word.
went
But
downtown. He still made his tea time.
It was a thing. Yeah.
He still made his tea time that afternoon.
I mean,
I've got homework. I'm gonna go.
listen,
research this.
I'm not a golf fan.
Yeah.
And I don't mean any insult when I say that. I'm not a golf fan.
Top golf though.
With Top Golf, I do like, but I just mean like I don't keep up with like those names you named. I know, but I was like, y'all, Louisville, that doesn't reflect well on you.
No,
That doesn't reflect well. Like y'all, somebody somewhere should have at least just paused and be like, hey, could he be telling the truth?
Yeah.
You see how that was swept under the rug?
Oh man,
pretty
for
quick.
sure.
And literally the top golfer in the world. I don't know if he is right now, but at the time he still was number one in the world. Come to Louisville, go to jail.
Right.
Right.
That would have been the equivalent in my mind of arresting Tiger Woods.
Oh, it totally was.
You know.
I mean, yeah.
And then Tiger Woods like, no, I'm gonna go play golf. And like, sure, buddy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you are.
Sure. Yeah, you're number one in the world. Okay. And there's like mug shots and stuff. But man, one thing
At least
about
they didn't club him. I mean, that could have been
right,
worse.
Right. Well, I mean, they did jump on his car. Remember that one guy like jumped on his car? I mean, it was a whole crazy mishmash. You know, in Middletown, near it was at Valhalla.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right on Shelbyville Road.
But cool thing about Scotty Scheffler, if you don't know, is he is an open Christian. He's very open about his faith.
Yeah.
And he always says something along the lines of, well, golfing's just what I do, but my identity's in Christ.
Oh, that's good.
So even in he had an interview, and I can't remember all the ins and outs of it. Like I watched the Masters, but I don't have time to follow golf like I used to. But he didn't play great, I think, on day 2 or day 3 or something. And so afterwards they were like, oh, how do you feel that you didn't play as well as you wanted? And he was like, again, he said something like, well, golf is just what I do. I'm just here to give glory to God. I'm like,
Amen.
oh man, more of that.
Yeah.
More of that. Like
I feel
in the
like
world.
we're seeing more of that.
Yeah.
Like people with platforms are being bold about what they're saying.
Well, but the culture, everything about it has changed
it's
significantly.
polarizing.
Yeah.
You're either
And so
way this way or way this way.
4 years ago, people wouldn't come out and say that. They'd get absolutely hung out to dry on the internet or wherever.
Yeah.
And so now you have people that are openly proclaiming their faith, and they're doing it in a way, they've always had it. It's just now I don't feel like I'm going to be ostracized for it.
Yeah. What's the verse that comes to mind is where Jesus says, acknowledge me before the world, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'll acknowledge you before the Father. And man, what an important thing to do. I have a family that I minister to, and it's kind of interesting because there's half of their family has like roots in Islam, but the particular family, like there's a Christian family, and there's a young daughter. She was wearing a cross on her necklace, and I'm trying to carefully describe this story, but she was going over to the house of the people that are Muslims, and at one point somebody had asked her, well, maybe you should take your cross off, and she was like, well, I won't do that. You can take me home, but I'm not going to take my cross off.
Right.
This is a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, gosh, I remember where I was when I was 15.
Right.
My mind wasn't even thinking those things at all. So to your point, is that something that's like seeping into?
That's what we hope.
Man, that generation is desperate for it. When you look at like social media and the stuff that's going on, like the ones that are teenagers now,
right?
Oh boy, like it's a good time to profess Christ openly.
Yeah, but that's part of the reason for things like this, because one of the things, even though the culture today has a lot of influences that are negative, they also have an availability to all kinds of information, including Christ-centered information, including Christian information. And so, it's funny because when I was 15 years old, I was Apollos. Remember Paul and Apollos and Priscilla and Aquila?
Yeah.
Apollos comes in and he was like, he had zeal, but he was off on a few things, and took Priscilla and Aquila to like straighten him out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was me. I grew up in a 90s Christian home, and I'm like, I want to follow Christ hard. And I got baptized because I didn't even know. Like, I was trying to talk to some kid at the bus stop about Jesus, and he looked at me and he's like, "Have you even been baptized?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been baptized." and my brother's beside me. He's like, "No, you haven't, you idiot." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "We're Baptist," and I'm like, What does that mean?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
even know we were Baptist. I didn't know anything. We were 90s Christians. We couldn't watch Simpsons, but I didn't go to church. And so that's true. You might remember some
I
stuff
couldn't
like
watch
that.
Simpsons.
Yeah,
that was like a thing. My parents were against that. Ninja Turtles, all kinds of stuff I missed out on.
Yeah, but I was allowed to watch Terminator, and then that's not good.
Yeah.
That's a not good movie.
I grew up on Looney Tunes. It was fine.
Yeah,
I mean, Looney Tunes were okay. I like Looney
Sure.
Tunes. But nonetheless, anyways, so I went home that day and I was like, Mom, have I ever been baptized? She's like, no, you idiot. We're Baptist.
So that brings up a good question. Where did the name come from?
Baptist?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, you're getting into.
I mean, you would think that they're all in on that.
What, being baptized?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's interestingly enough because Baptists are there on the other end of like baptizing.
Yep.
Not like, be baptized. I mean, you're supposed to be baptized. Don't misunderstand me. But the idea is more the Great Commission. Like you, Bill, go and baptize.
Right.
John the Baptist certainly wasn't the founder of the Baptist
movement.
Yeah. But it's in the same vein of saying like we baptize.
Also a good question.
A key doctrine of the Baptist faith is that we baptize believers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's where the idea is coming from.
Okay.
In other words, not infant baptism.
Correct.
Right.
Infants cannot make a decision.
Right.
And so, you have other even Protestant denominations that will still baptize infants and babies. Baptists are that way because the baptizer is baptizing believers.
No, something I learned last night, which I thought was kind of interesting, is that John the Baptist had followers that had been baptized. And after they heard the truth, they were rebaptized.
Yeah. And actually, culturally, baptism was not a new thing even to John the Baptist. Like Jews were getting baptized in the sense of, what's the word? One of you guys help me out. What's the word when somebody's converting to Judaism? There was a word for that. When they weren't a Jew, but then they came in and they started following the Jews. I don't know if y'all remember.
Came back
nope. It's not proselytize, but it's like a.
Yeah, there's a.
I can't think of the word right now.
Fancy word for it.
Yeah, but anyways, if somebody came into Judaism, it's not biblical, but the Jews notoriously didn't do biblical things. Like they didn't do scriptural things. They were always breaking that, and they were always making up their own rules. God gave 10 commandments, and the Jews were able to extrapolate like 360 some. So they got lots of laws, pulled out of that. But it's interesting because it actually brings me up to the sermon from yesterday. Did you guys pay attention? So the sermon yesterday, David and Bathsheba, right?
So good.
And
the anatomy of a fall.
Yeah, the anatomy of a fall. That's right.
Good, so good.
And so David and Bathsheba, remember that, and I want to get to the beginning of the story in a second though, but just kind of as a transition, did you notice that Uriah, the husband that got killed, that David had killed?
Yeah.
Do you remember? He's Uriah the Hittite. That's right. He wasn't a Jew. So he was somebody who wasn't a Jew that had then come into Israel. So they definitely had people coming into Israel, coming into, the Jewish faith. And so somewhere in history, I don't know what the exact date is, but they did begin baptizing people as a symbol of like washing and cleansing. So,
well, that was always part of it, the washing and the cleansing. Like that was deep in the religion, but or in ancient practice anyway. But that was for everything from ceremony to preparation and all of the different things. But when Christ chose to move it into baptizing individuals as a public profession, I thought that was. Anyways, that to me, like it's always been around, the washing with water, the purification, all of those types of things. And a lot of that has carried over into today. So, I mean, it follows, in a way.
Yeah.
Kirk, it looked like you might have been looking it up. Were you looking up what that word was?
Oh, I was. So the only one, I don't think this is it, but the only one I could find is immersion, but I don't think that's it.
That's not the word I was looking for. Oh, well, it's been a while since.
If I said I knew what you were looking for, but I can't remember what it was, would that help?
You were lying.
Lying.
You lied.
Through my teeth.
I know what you mean.
You're always one of those
Can't
guys.
think of it either.
There's some old,
I'm just gonna be honest. I have
no.
no idea.
There's some old Hebrew words, but I don't think it's that's what,
No.
There's like an actual word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyways,
I can't find it.
somebody will write it in the comments. If
Yeah, there you
if
go.
you guys remember what the word I'm thinking of is, I've seen it in theology books. I just haven't read a theology book in a few years. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible. I've read that book.
That key theology book,
Yeah.
you might say. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a little while since I've read systematic theology or Wayne Grudem.
Yeah.
Nothing was worse than having to read the entire Wayne Grudem systematic theology.
Having not been to seminary, man, there's some joys I feel like I've really missed out on.
Well, I remember
I'm good.
I had 6 weeks to do this class, and I get this 1,200-page systematic theology by Wayne Grudem, and I'm like, how am I going to? And then they have all these assignments on the syllabus from the reading. I'm like, y'all are killing me.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I might be able to read a book, yay thick in 6 weeks of something I enjoy. And yes, the Bible, I could read that and I could enjoy that. And I've never done it, but I want to challenge myself and read the Bible in a month.
In a month?
But guys, I'm working. Like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
man.
A brother of mine at school, Ben Howell, he told me he reads it and then he listens to it on like double time speed or whatever. So he's hearing it and reading it and following it with his finger. And he's like, dude, I just blow through it. Like every year I read the Bible in a month. And I was like, or maybe it's 2 months. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but
wow.
no, it's there's lots of tactics out there, but yeah, 6 weeks to read 1,200 pages. It's kind of on my outside range.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Another project that I have for the studio, I haven't even told you guys about yet, but so the whole truth is a deep dive through the scriptures. Those videos are longer, but I want to. I actually am getting ready to start a whole nother program. The idea of it to be to help people read the Bible in a year. So it'll be like a 1 year program.
Yeah.
It'll have to be more concise. People don't want to listen for 4 hours while you try to
Right.
go over 3 chapters of the Bible and go deep. And so the idea there would be that it'll be like a more concise, under 10-minute video to say, here's the reading for the day, and then when you run into this, here's what it's about. That's going to be the idea of it. But the whole point is going to be a help. And so my goal is to produce that entire thing and then let it out next year at the first of the year. So that when it comes out, it'll be out all at once. Because that's always a big time of year for people to say they want to get started. Is first of the year.
With the age of AI and all that now, I mean, there's a world where we could develop an app maybe, and you can have all of your work built out in there, and then it just reads, it pops up, people download it, and then it shows up. I only say that because a buddy pastor of mine over in Carrollton their church is doing that. They're Bible reading together instead of being on YouVersion and picking a program. They have their own church thing, and I was like, oh, it could be really cool. But having it tied to the whole truth it's going to be cool.
Yeah, I want it to be a kind of a public accessible thing. That's always a big part of
I see that.
anytime I'm doing anything ministry, I just get not bogged down. That's not the right word, but I'm just like, it's always in my mind to say this needs to be accessible. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
I was putting out my study notes for a while, and I put them on Patreon, and I was charging for those. I was putting them behind a paywall. You couldn't get to the notes unless you had any subscription at all. And even that I felt guilty about after a few months. I was like, I took it off. And so now I've got I put all those study notes together. I make those whole videos, put all the study notes together. I put it all together on the website, and then I put it all, it's all free. If somebody wants to join in, then they do. And if they don't, then enjoy them. Take them to your Bible studies. I promise I'm never going to take anybody to court because you took my stuff.
Right.
That's all fine. You can take it. It's good. Freely receive, freely give. I
That's
didn't have to pay for the Holy Spirit, so
That's right.
That's fair. That's
right.
fair. Somebody else did that.
Yeah, so I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So, all right, in the text yesterday, let me open the floor for a second and say, y'all remember the story, right? I mean, it's kind of hard to forget the story.
Yeah.
David walks out on his rooftop, middle of the night. He stayed home from battle. He walks out on his rooftop, sees Bathsheba, invites her over, sends her a message. Well, actually, ask who she was first, just to make sure that he knows that she's married. And there was whole lot of little nuances in that beginning part. Obviously invites her over, and she comes over, and same night.
One message.
One message, all it took.
Yeah. One DM.
One DM. He slid into her DMs, and she came right over.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
So
To put it in today's context.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, he sent messengers to her. And she came over.
Yeah.
So they didn't have telephones, but if they did, he'd be like, what's her number?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
Number.
and then of course, the story ends with, then he tries to he gets her husband to come back from the battle, that he's fighting for his country, fighting for David, and comes back from the battle, and then he's so righteous, even in his drunken state, he's more righteous than David was being in that moment, and he, David's plotting his own demise and trying to get Uriah, her husband, to sleep with her, but then because he can't get him to do that,
right, to cover up the pregnancy,
right?
Yeah, I was gonna say good top,
good point. Man, I'll tell you a part that really stuck out to me that I'd never thought about before was how you, because we all read that and immediately think like, man, David, come on.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what stuck out to me is when you talked about like Bathsheba's part in this.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And you linked it to, you said something like, I mean, she was bathing on the roof.
Yeah.
I know she could see his palace.
Even if that were a social practice, which I think I read somewhere, maybe it was or something like that. But you've got to know, if David's seeing her, she's seeing him, like whatever.
Sure.
But I think it's important that you bring up that, to not be crass, it takes two to tango.
It does. It does.
So,
and she came over.
Yeah.
And one could be like, well, he was king though. Did she come over out of fear?
I did hear that argument once.
Yeah.
That there's such a power difference there that she didn't have a choice, and someone tried to speak up on that behalf, and I'm like, I don't know. The Bible doesn't say anything about that. The Bible's like, she was.
Yeah, there she was.
There's several rape scenes in the Bible, and in all of those cases, you see those women. I mean, think about Tamara is her name, in Genesis, and she's like, no, don't do this thing, but he does it anyways. Like that's different. Yeah, that's different than what we see here. But we see no pushback from
unwillingness.
Yeah, there's no unwillingness that we see from Bathsheba, and she at any point could have told on David. She could have said no. And of course, like you said, I mean, you could make the claim for power difference and say, there was a power difference and maybe she was fearful for her life or something of that nature. But again, there is no indication that you are having to put that in there. That would be the equal opposite of us saying that, well, Bathsheba did it purposefully. That she went out on her. The text really says that he was on the roof. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say she was on the roof. It says he was on his roof and he looked that way. But she can still see his house. Mm-hmm. Sure. Look, I don't even turn my lights on at night without shutting the curtains because I feel so vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
And so I'm like, I gotta my lights go on. I'm like, shut the curtains. I don't. People see right in this house. Yeah. And so
that's funny. I'm the exact same way.
The back windows. My wife's always like, who's back there? Yeah. And I'm like, if somebody was.
You don't know. That's right. That's right.
So she obviously. And by the way, it was nighttime, so she probably had some sort of a lantern, a light. Something that was over there where she was bathing. Yeah. And so, I think that, Bathsheba had just as much to do with it. And by the way, Deuteronomy, I think it's 20:20, says that both the man and the woman, if a man commits adultery with another man's wife, both that wife and the man who did the adultery are supposed to die. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that's the reason.
And you talked about that as the fear, the motivator that drove David to make these decisions. Not only do we want to hide our sin in general, like that's kind of a blanket statement, but David knew the actual ramifications of what the Bible said, what the law said in that time. So not only do you want to save face, everybody wants to save face. Nobody wants to reveal their sin. Sin thrives in the dark. Like we get all that. But David also knew that there was a tangible, a consequence of his action, ready and waiting. So he, whether he went into this with the full plan, it was no, and it's a perfect example, as you pointed out yesterday. Sin evolves over time, and sin will take you down a path that you were never willing to go. It'll stretch you, and then it'll stretch you, and then you find yourself,
it'll crush you,
and then it'll crush you, and that's exactly what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, you pointed something out about Bathsheba. I don't want to forget this. To a modern comparison of like what women or girls are putting out on social media. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember, you worded it. You were like, you said something and I was like, ooh, that was good. You were like, it's not social media stalking when you put it out there.
Yeah. Teens say that all the time. I hear that they're like, oh, you stalk somebody on whatever. I'm like, no, clicking on their open profile to see what they posted is not stalking.
Right.
Like,
I didn't hack.
Right, I didn't go to their house and dig through their trash and look through their windows. Like
you put it up there,
right?
Yeah, and man, that is such.
You posted it.
Yeah.
Dude, that is such a
Which goes back to the Trump thing.
yeah, right.
Trump.
Was that recording? We were passing that around.
Like
Well,
I said, man,
it's-
the
it'll be
audio's
there.
there. It's
It'll
just on
be
the
there.
camera.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
won't be as crisp.
Yeah.
Because
When you first hear it, I'll put up a little thing that says, "We forgot to turn the mics on. Wait until 9 minutes or whatever."
yeah.
Was that pretty close to blasphemy, you think?
Oh, it's
totally.
we didn't talk enough about that because
Yeah,
that is
it's
totally
not-
blasphemy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have never been one to give Trump a pass. Like I know people who do, and I'm like, I'm not going to give him a pass. Like you should not do stuff like that.
I was trying
you
so
sh- you
hard to
should
go.
not do
Okay,
stuff like
was
that.
this? Who's like you said? Who's making the decisions to put this stuff out?
He has
I mean,
to,
really?
but I mean, he has to have a say in it. Like, even if you've got a PR expert, and Trump decides to outsource his power of what the public sees of him,
Right.
which is foolish to think.
Yeah.
Like, someone that in control wants all that. He's got to see it and be like, yeah, that's a good idea. And there were others, like early on in the war in Gaza, there was that golden Trump statue.
Oh,
You guys
yeah.
remember that? It
So
looked like
weird.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
The Trump Gaza video.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that was so
there's
weird.
been so many.
Where he was like
goofy ones lately.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
Like,
And like
Like,
those
hey, man,
bearded
are you-
dudes in bikinis and stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, bro, this
and there was
is-
a big golden idol, big golden
Yeah.
statue of Trump.
Yeah.
And they're singing this like Trump Gaza song.
so weird.
So
Oh,
he's definitely
gross.
made some
That
missteps
is gross.
there.
It's a good word.
I don't want to say someone can't make mistakes, but to what you were getting at earlier, no. Like, he has to know and give his stamp of approval.
Sure.
Like, I mean, unless we go down the rabbit hole of the president's just a giant puppet anyway, which
Yeah.
I'm not ready to get into right now. My sources are not lined out, but I just don't know. So yes, that was totally blasphemous.
But even in the most superficial look at this, when you say, okay, clearly I don't know, did he think it was funny? Oh, geez, let's just put this out there. This is funny.
Like,
People are going to get a kick out of this.
And I'm not even diving into what's floating in the background yet. I don't know if you guys saw that, but there were like warriors and wings and like people in the background.
I
Like,
didn't even look at all that stuff. Dude.
When I first had the photo, I was like, "There's so much going on here that I could dwell on." So the internet is probably dissected a million different ways, but you're getting a hot take. Like, I have no idea. I was incensed. Like, this is foolishness for someone with that much power and is the face of our country. Like, yeah, we could do better. Come on, man.
Well, and help me understand, Trump. Are you trying to make yourself look like Jesus? Because if that's the case, then that is blasphemy.
Right.
For that woman to be there with her hands, praying, and you could try to say that's AI, you could try to say that's artistic, you could try to say it's this or that. He's making himself look like Jesus, and that is not okay.
You're responsible for the image.
Right.
You know? Someone told AI to put that in there, and then you saw it. I think we've established that. Trump saw it before it went out.
Yeah.
You're responsible. And,
Well, did he
that was
actually
foolish.
post that?
It's from
It
it's
came-
from
him?
his
Or Truth Social?
yeah,
whatever?
Truth Social
Yeah.
or whatever. That's what it's from.
So,
And I don't know if it's still up. I don't know if they're going to pull it down, but I doubt it. He didn't pull anything else down. He just keeps posting enough stuff that it pushes it down the line, and people try to forget about it or whatever. But
I'm definitely not in the sweep it under the rug category.
Mm-mm.
Like, there's been some good things that have happened recently, under his administration, but not a pass.
No.
You don't
So
get that.
so strange.
And I think to what you were saying, Kirk, about when we think about like a young lady posting something online, like you are advertising yourself, whether you want that or not. Listen, locks are meant to keep good people out. Bad people just go past locks.
Yeah.
And so when you're posting those things, bad people can do what they want with them, and even more so now with AI being what it is.
Yep.
I mean, you can literally I saw this happen to somebody that I know, that they got arrested and there was a mugshot of them, and somebody took an AI app and made their mugshot photo talk. Like, that person looks like they're talking and they're saying something about the mugshot. This is like somebody that I know. And I'm like, first of all, who in the comment section decided to go use AI, for this local person that got arrested? But man, AI is a thing, and I think it's really concerning too what they're going to make it look like people are doing or saying.
Oh yeah,
without a doubt.
We've already seen terrible examples of that. I'm not going to get into it, but I mean, it's just you can. I don't know. It's just a dark hole, and it reinforces you can't trust anything.
Yep.
And
When I started exploring that, and I started actually doing as far as video editing and stuff, and I'm relatively capable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Making images long before AI became a thing.
Yeah.
When AI became a thing, I was literally, I don't know that I could trust anything that I see on TV because I know what the capability is, and you can make something out of nothing almost. And you know, here you go. Here's our lead tonight, and it's like, oh, did that really happen?
Sure. And it's happened so like rapidly.
Yes. Yeah. And it's only going to get faster.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way technology moves.
Exactly.
And it's faster and faster. That's correct.
Yeah.
And that actually leads me back to the text a little bit, because something I didn't touch on yesterday was what happened at the very beginning of the story, which is that David sent everybody out to battle, and then he was home. And I'm not saying that that's wrong per se. I think that, you know, you can only be involved in so much. And when I'm experiencing this on a very minor level compared to what David must have experienced it as, but you have to be able to trust people to do their job and let them go do that job.
Sure.
So, you know, David is the king and Joab is his right-hand man. Joab is absolutely the guy that would go out. He's the commander of the army. He's the chief of the army. He absolutely would be the guy to go out and go into battle. So I'm not saying that that was wrong necessarily, but it did set David up where he was at home with lessened responsibility, because, you know, all the warriors
you're not
are
strolling on the roof if you've got a lot of things to do. You know, so it put David in a season of idleness, and that's what allowed him to go wander on the rooftop. I mean, if you don't have calls on your time, you know, maybe this is a personal conviction of mine, but right now I'm in a season of busyness. You know, I'm covered up with all the different things to do. But
tell me about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of us at this table for sure. Yeah. But you know, and part of my prayer sometimes is, Lord, you know, I'm ready for a season of rest. That'd be great. I've only been in this for a while, and I always look at my brother here and it's like, oh, he's been at it for 15 years, you know, or more. But you know, there are times, you know, when you get a little rest, but I'm worried about those times. You know, when I read stories about David, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe rest isn't what I need. Maybe work and service. Like, God has given us the gift of work. Let's get after it. You know, it's not I don't need, you know, rest. And there are big names in the world right now that are all like, oh, work hard, do hard things, you know, be busy. And for me, from a spiritual standpoint, I don't know that rest is what we're called to do. I think we're called to work and called to serve, and it keeps you out of all of these other things. And I think David found himself in a season of rest and a season of, hey, man, you know, Joab, you got it. I'm going to be here, you know, dreaming about the temple or whatever, some righteous thing in his own mind, and he wound up falling. So I think that was, you know, maybe that's caution for all of us. You know, watch out for those seasons of downtime.
Yeah. I think something that I would add to that would be, I think biblically, we're given answers about rest and examples. I've always loved that God rested on the seventh day.
Absolutely.
Right?
There it is.
And so there's this, you know, 6 days of creation, and on the seventh day, God rested.
Yeah.
And you always have to ask yourself, like, well, hold up.
Why?
Like, why? Why would God rest? But there is an answer to that. It's the same thing as 100 other times, you know, when we run into something and you go, why would God do that? Like when Abraham's talking to God and he's like, would you take the city if there's 50 people? And God's like, no, I'm not going to take the city if there's 50 people. And, you know, Abraham's like, okay, don't be mad at me, but what about 30? What about 20? You know, right? He's going down the line. I always love to point out that wasn't God changing his mind. God's mind was already made up. He already knew what he was going to do. He already knew the end from the beginning. God was doing that to reveal himself to Abraham. That now Abraham has to look at God and go, oh, look how kind God is. Like in Abraham's mind, he's like, wait a minute, you wouldn't take him out if there was 50 people. And God was revealing how good and how merciful, how long suffering he really was. And I say that to say the same thing about rest. God revealed rest to us in a way that if it was left up to man, we would have never done. That's one of the things I always point out too when I think about somebody questioning the scriptures. I want you to consider for a moment that if it was left up to man, what does man do to other men? Do we give them a break? No, we enslave them.
Yeah.
But, you know, what happened even, if you think about like Tower of Babel, all the guys, you know, come up Tower of Babel and you know, they're Nimrod's getting everybody to come together. And I always pointed out one of the biggest problems with that is if you have one man who's in power, then what do you have is ultimate power and ultimate corruption. And so look at what man has done with other men. They enslave them. They make them do awful things that they don't want to do. You know, we're all good to get the job done that we don't want to do so long as somebody else is doing it, you know, if we can pass it off to somebody else. And so I say that to say, look at what God did when he offered rest. He gave us an example of what we're supposed to do that man would have never thought of. We would have just justified and been like, no, work them every day.
Yeah.
You should work every day. But God gave us an example of rest to say at least one day a week, you should rest. That also means you should work for 6 days a week. So I think it's a balance of what you're saying. There's God's reminding us to work, and yet at the same time within that work, he permits us to take a rest.
Yeah.
It's okay to take a day and take a day off. However, I think like what I was saying yesterday, if you've got sin on your calendar,
Right.
if you're taking that rest to give yourself an opportunity to do the thing that you wouldn't be able to do if everybody was around, then, well, yeah, you've set yourself up to sin. You've allowed the temptation in your life so that you can sin. Yeah. And I think that, when I think about David, like staying back from war, I don't think he did wrong. I just think the door was open for him to do something that was unrighteous, that he wouldn't have had a chance to do otherwise if everybody was there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I can give you a tangible example, right? So from the school perspective, we're just coming back from spring break and all that stuff. And I was like, I need to unplug. I need to go be with my family. It was great. And we wanted to go to the beach. I love and hate the beach, right? It is leisure. It's great. I read a lot of books. I took naps. It was glorious. But the beach is a landmine for the eyes.
Oh yeah.
There's no safe place to look. And I clued my wife in weeks ago. I'm like, listen, sunglasses are a bad deal. It's bright. I'm going to have them. But I'm just telling you, like, I am going to do my best to not wind up with whiplash at the end of vacation, trying not to look at all of the things that are out there.
Yeah.
And she was great. She's like, I understand, and we talked about it openly, amongst each other. But in my season of leisure, it was just rife with, temptation, and it was a hard thing to do, and it's a hard thing to have daughters and ever want to go to the beach again. I told them we're only ever going to vacation in Alaska. Parkas are mandatory. But
Sure.
But
not all year long.
But I mean, like I said, this sermon hit home for me in a lot of different facets, and that's one. David was resting, and he stumbled. I was in a season of rest, and I just got back and was at that sermon yesterday. And I stumbled like in my eyes, like, and I repented of that, but I was just like, man, it's impossible to be someplace like the beach and not deal with that type of temptation.
The first thing that happened after his idleness was that he looked. He looked. It doesn't just say that he looked, like he looked and she was beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
So he kept looking. Yeah. Right? Like
it's the second look, right? The first look is I'm a man and I'm built this way, and I'm like, okay. All right, let's go find something else to look at. But the second look, the delay, that's where sin becomes rooted. It's where it begins to take root. It's where the seed begins to grow.
And then when that sin has opportunity. And that's what he did. He kicked open the door of opportunity. He sent a message to her. Yeah. And she knew what the message meant. He knew what the message meant because
of course.
Because one message later, and here we have it. Yeah. There's another interesting thing that happened in the middle of that too. Did you notice that in the text it said that she had just been cleansed from her impurity?
Yes.
Did you think about why that was important?
Because she was going to get pregnant.
It clarifies that it's David's baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no question about whose baby this is because she was just cleansed from her impurity. So she's obviously had her cycle and so the bathing was a cleansing, like a ritual cleansing bathing to say, this is her cleansing from her impurity. And David takes her right after that, which means there is no question. Oh, maybe this was somebody else's baby. Yeah. Maybe she's unfaithful with other people as well.
It totally removes all doubt.
Exactly. To say this absolutely has to be David's child that she's bearing, which, again, that causes David can't wiggle out of it another way, which is why he's now he runs
cover up. Gets Uriah home and it's like, hey man, go do the thing.
Yeah. When he tried to send food home,
do the thing.
dude, okay, let's hold it together. But the food analogy from service yesterday was awesome. Be like, guys, I got it. I just couldn't guffaw real loud at the middle, but I was like, yeah, man, you're sending him home. You're checking all the right boxes. Hey, come home with some takeout, and
when I said that, I was like, guys, you could take a lesson from that. If you'd make your wives a lot happy if you just bring home some takeout every now and then.
Goodness, man.
It was crickets. I was like, nobody thought that was funny.
I did. It was an internal thing,
I think there were a few ladies who felt insulted, but I was trying to help y'all out. You're acting like you don't want the takeout, but you do.
Right.
Maybe there's a few crunchy families who don't. don't. But for the most part, even they want pizza.
I find that when I'm running front of house sound, that I have to be careful because I'm usually, if you really honestly do a assessment of most of our Sundays and Wednesdays, I am your peanut gallery. I'm always responding to you because then you go, well, I didn't mean that. And you're looking right at me. And it's like, oh, boy.
Well, I don't know if it's a hype thing that I hear your voice sometimes. Oh, yeah. Some people I can't
project
hear.
a little bit, you know.
People will say stuff. I'm like, what did they say? You know, and I just have to move on. And then people think I see stuff. Y'all, I don't see anything. Somebody had a stroke in our church, and they took them out. And I did not see. Later, they were like, when so and so had a stroke earlier, I was like, whoa, who had a stroke there? When we were working them out the door, you saw us like halfway carrying them. I'm like, I had no clue. I zone out. People are like, you were looking right at me. I'm like, I kind of wasn't.
I don't think people understand that up overhead at almost the 45-degree angle, maybe a touch higher.
Yep.
There are 6 550 to 750 watt lights.
Right.
And it's still technically not enough. But, you know, even at that, there's a certain, you can't see, you know, in the stadium seating.
Yeah. And I'll resonate with what you're saying. Anytime I'm up there, I might make eye contact with somebody close, but when
you're in a zone.
I'm in a zone.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
sure.
You know, whether it's announcements or prayer, communion, or anything like that. Yeah. There could be, you know, my best friend from 20 years ago sitting in the audience right there, and I'd gloss right over him, you know.
I can't tell you how many times I've looked at somebody multiple times and then realized like, oh, they're here, you know, like
right.
Middle of service. I'm like, oh, my daughter's here.
Jeez.
I don't mean to. I'm just like you said, I'm in a zone.
Yeah.
In my mind, I am not picturing those faces. I'm picturing, you know, the thing I'm trying to make sure that I wanted to get out, that I wanted to talk about.
Purpose.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I'll tell you, when I think about David with what happened the next with Uriah, as not only did he try to set Uriah up, he calls him back and he tries to convince him to go home. I feel like there's salt in the wound for David when Uriah goes and lays at his door.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you have a guy that is completely
dedicated.
Yeah, that's a great word. Dedicated to David. And David is trying to manipulate the situation to use him. You know, sin, you said earlier, Paul, that like sin will take you further than you want to go and stretch you. And sin, when you're trying to cover sin, especially out of fear that there's going to be retribution of some sort, you will weave a web of mess, you know, where all of a sudden you just keep doing this thing because of this thing. And I remember somebody told me once, I've never looked it up, but I heard somebody say one time that Abraham Lincoln said, if you're going to be a liar, you better have a good memory. And I think that's a true statement. I've watched people, whether it's adultery or, you know, leading to divorce or whether it's embezzling. I mean, I've seen situations with that where, you know, there's been embezzling situations or whatever. And I just watch as these people just weave this web of mess and they just keep doing one thing after another thing. And
it's really exhausting.
Yeah, it's totally exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, the point I was trying to get at yesterday is in Christ, there is freedom from that exhaustion.
Yeah.
There's freedom you don't have to keep dodging it. Only in Christ do we get to take the thing that was this egregious sin, and does the Lord use that to turn it into testimony that leads other people to Him?
Yeah.
You know, and one, you're having to constantly run, constantly hide, constantly try to, you know, keep up with whatever, you know, and certainly that, you know, as we sear our conscience and we take that further and further, we get to a point where we don't care so much.
So watch this. In my feeble mind, I can weave the Trump picture, David and Bathsheba into for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God.
That's right.
And God uses imperfect people to do perfect things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, he does.
And so even though David still did good after that, you know,
sure.
And so, but clearly he sinned. So here we are. I mean, you know, I don't know what kind of sin Trump just did with that whole thing. But that's, I mean, if it is blasphemy, you know, it's not something small, but you know, so interesting, very interesting.
Charles Spurgeon's link on the David and Bathsheba, his sermon on that, he pointed out to say he's grateful that David did that and that David went through that, because he said that, and I think I said at the beginning of the sermon that that's relatable for all of us. What David did by David sinning the way that he sinned, we can all relate with that. We were all just, normally we're looking at David and we're seeing this picture of Christ, but in this way we're looking at David and we're seeing a picture of us. And so we're seeing the things we're doing. And I'll tell you, I probably had 20 people come up to me yesterday after service and say, "Oh, that's me." Like that whole thing that you're saying, like that was me. So, and whether it's not even just about necessarily adultery, it's just about the idea of putting yourself in a position to sin, and then you sin, and then you try to cover it, and then you make a big old mess. And then at the end of it, here's David thinking he got away with it. Uriah's dead. He marries Bathsheba. Now he actually looks like the hero. At the end of the story, like now he's married the soldier's widow, and taking her in, and she's pregnant, and everybody's thinking she's pregnant with Uriah's child, or even at that she got pregnant from David. But nonetheless, they're thinking, oh well, look at how kind King David is being.
And I know I'm getting ahead of the story here, but I know the end of that is the death of that child. Like that, like David. Whether he thinks he's free or not, like that judgment is coming, and it's a rough, it's rough to think through, the Bible's living and active, the word is living and active, and it hits you different. Well, as a parent, I'm telling you, when I read that again, as I was coming out of the military, really getting into the word and all that stuff, it was just, when I had kids of my own, it hit different, and then you talk about, punishments and judgments and things that are your fault that fall on someone else innocent. Man, that was hard, but for a purpose. If David was a perfect man, I mean, we couldn't relate to that, which is exactly why, in a way, I think that's what Spurgeon was getting at. I don't want to speak for him, of course, but anyways,
and ultimately, man, we're all David, right? Like we might not physically have had an adulterous relationship, but what does Jesus say? To even look at a woman with a lustful eye is to commit adultery with her in your heart. That's right. Man, we're all David. And man, that's the first thing that I would point out. Like if you read that and you're like, oh man, David was bad. Man, you're David.
Heads up,
bro. Look FYI,
for the plank in your eye, brother.
FYI, you're David, but then the second thing you said something a minute ago, Bill, how God like works through our brokenness, works through us, like in spite of our despite our brokenness. Man, the ultimate example is, man, David and Bathsheba have another son, Solomon, and so on and so on and so on. And guess what that leads to? It's the lineage of Jesus. That's the ultimate example of God
using
working
bad things to make.
He turns all things for ultimate good. And that blows my mind. And even just right now, as I say it, I'm like, as we're talking about David and Bathsheba's sin, I'm just like,
you're letting that soak in.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Jesus like came from these two.
I
mean, that's, I don't know. I'm just in awe of that,
I think if we were to break down all of the terrible scenarios throughout the Bible that led to Jesus, I've heard it called the scarlet thread before. Like it is just, this is one instance, but man, there are so many of imperfectness that led to something perfect. This one's rife. This was our sermon just yesterday, and it like you said, it's so real. It hits a lot of people. But I'll shift gears a little bit, and maybe we can move to this next. But the joy of salvation, I told you earlier, like that's what landed with me. I would have been one of those 20 that said, "Hey, this is so relevant. This is so perfect for me," and people are like, "Oh, no, Paul's in an adulterous relationship." No. Like that's not why it's pertinent to me. When Justin revealed from the stage, you've lost your joy. I think it was Psalm 51 and 12. Was it 51 and 12?
Yeah.
I want, David is asking, bring me back the joy of that. And that's where I'm at. Like, man, I'm in such a season of work that I've missed that joy in a moment. Hey, I'm serving. I'm proud to be serving. Lord, call me to do anything, and I'm going to say yes. I mean, you guys know, Paul doesn't know how to say no. But But
You're here right now.
I'm here right now. I don't know how to say no. But the joy.
That's good.
I needed a revisit of that. And I thought about vacation was going to do it or something like that. But no, it was the sermon when I came back and I opened my Bible and I was like, that's why it's pertinent to me. Man. That's why the word is so convicting in the right tone. It was wonderful.
Man, I'm so glad you brought that up, dude, because you might remember after the sermon yesterday, we were, we always linger, especially the four of us. Like we're usually there to 3, But yes, and a lot of times we'll talk about how the day went.
Our poor wives.
Our poor wives.
Well, I got home at like almost a little bit before 2, and my wife looks at her watch and she goes, "Oh, you're early today."
Yeah, right.
My wife and your wife pack popcorn now.
Yeah.
Right,
right. I can see the looks on their faces when I'm like, I need to go talk to and fill in the blank. They'll have this look like we're gonna be here, and I'm like, hey, you can drive separate. But
hashtag pastor's wife problems.
I know my wife well enough to know why she didn't want to drive separate, because if she dressed separate, I'll be even later.
Oh for sure.
But on a good note, I just love our church.
Oh, same.
I could be there all the time. I love being there. Don't misunderstand me. I love being home with my kids.
Of course.
But I love our church.
Yeah.
And so it's not burdensome for me.
Totally. We joke about it, but absolutely. Yeah. It's a joy.
Exactly. And I think that inside of that, our wives, they love it too. They're not. It's not that they don't love it. They also see the responsibilities that we have everywhere else. Like if you stay late, you're gonna be busy later because you're eating into your other time. At least my wife, I think she thinks that way. Like you're you're eating into your time that you're supposed to be doing something else later.
Yeah.
So
But we were hanging out yesterday talking, and you might remember I was like, brother, sermon was so good. I love that you pointed out the joy. Do you remember me saying that yesterday? Because I had that's been like a reoccurring thing since, I want to say, last maybe Thursday or Friday. We went to somebody's house. It's a young couple, and they're getting ready to have their 4th baby, a home birth.
Okay.
And I don't want to say their names, but anyways, young couple at church, and they wanted Cara and I to come over and pray with them. She was anxious and kind of having like intrusive thoughts and stuff like that. And we were like, oh, of course. So we go to their house, and as we're praying, man, the Holy Spirit takes over my mouth. And I'm like, I can't remember how I said it. You know how it is when the Holy Spirit starts moving. You're like, did I say that? No, I didn't. He did. I was just a vessel. But I said something along the lines of, man, there is, because she was feeling anxious. And I was like, well, anxiety is not from God. We have joy. And then it hit me, man, that's fruit of the Holy Spirit in us. That's number 2, love, joy. And so I love that you pointed that out. And somebody else that was in the room that was not, because there was a few other family members there, she literally said, man, I really just needed to hear that we have joy available to us. And man, how often do we get, to use your words, Paul, like so busy that we miss the joy that God has for us from his Spirit that's in us?
And sometimes we use righteous work to become the burden that makes us lose the joy.
Yeah, that's right.
All of a sudden we're doing so much, and then we become bitter about the thing that we're doing, and then we start thinking, other people don't appreciate it, or that nobody sees all this other back end stuff, or then maybe it's not that, maybe it's somebody complained or whatever, and you get hit with something, and then all of a sudden it starts to feel like it's robbing you of that joy, but it doesn't have to. If you really stop and think about it, it's like, oh, well, that's a light thing in comparison.
Sure.
In comparison to what the Lord's done for me and what He's given me, then, for me, I couldn't unsee the idea of, I feel like the root of David's whole scenario was what he said in the Psalm later when he says, "Restore to me, Lord, the joy of your salvation." Like that, restore to me that joy, says he's admitting something. I lost that joy, and this is what it led to. And so now I want to be restored into that.
Yeah, man, that's a good point. And I love that you pointed out like how if we put like the work part of ministry, it's almost like I've been thinking about this a lot lately too. If we put the work part of ministry ahead of our like intimate time with the Lord, like when that becomes step one.
Right.
Because we were just talking about this too. When you look all through the Old Testament, there's all kinds of Bible verses that totally say you have to minister to the Lord first, and then you can minister to his people. And as pastors or AVL leads, people that are in full-time ministry at some capacity, how many times do we like sort of accidentally get that flip-flopped?
Accidentally?
But, like,
it happens all the time.
Like it's like the work part becomes first. Man, that is a good way to miss the joy.
So let's dig into that word for a second.
Yeah.
What does it mean to minister to the Lord?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of ministry among us brothers, if we think of ministry at church, what does it mean to minister to the Lord?
Yeah.
To the Creator that has everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the minister part is what you mean, right? Like,
yeah.
What does that mean?
That's a good question, because some people might get confused. Like, what do I got to preach to God?
Right. Is that what ministry is?
Yeah.
Or do I have to do something?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think that is?
I have a thought.
Well, that's more than I have. No,
Yeah.
I went to administer, right? So when I think of ministry, when I think of giving anything to the Lord, I think of it as worship.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ministry, like worship can encompass a lot. I'm speaking to my worship minister in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I would say that when I give to the Lord, it's worship. But when you minister, it's an action. It's setting apart time. And this is just my hot take. I have not researched this word or anything like that. But the ministry side is it's what you do. I like how you put it. It's the first thing you do.
Yeah.
It is an action. It is something that you go out of your way to do.
Yeah.
And when you're ministering to someone else, you're bringing what truth what the Holy Spirit's revealed to you, to them in the right time, and hoping the ground is fertile to receive that. But when I minister to someone else, it's me giving. It's me communicating, but if it's ministering to the Lord, as Bill said, how do you give something to the Creator that has everything? So,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a confusing one. It's not an easy answer.
What do you think, Kirk?
So for me, it really boils down to the intimacy with God in the secret place moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, that is that one-on-one isolated time with the Lord is unparalleled, dude. Like I love corporate worship. I love when we are all together. The Bible says, "Do not neglect the gathering." Like, man, I love that. But I think that there is so much that happens in that secret place time with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so much. Worshiping, praying. Like, how many of us? I'm not accusing anybody in this room. I mean, just us as an in general statement. How many of us? When was the last time you just got alone with God? When was the last time? And what I have found happens, God, and you know this, Justin. You and I've been talking. I've been in a season since like October, bro.
No,
and
for sure.
And maybe we can save that for another podcast. But I've been. God has really called me more and more to secret place times with Him, and what He has taught me in those times is, man, that's where I get like filled with His presence, and then I can like minister to His church from that place of like overflow of His Spirit in me. So that's what it sort of boils down to for me, like ministering first to the Lord.
So interestingly enough, I mean, the word to minister means to serve.
Yeah.
It literally means to like lift somebody else up, right? Like to serve them, to lift them up. And so, when we minister to other people, there's kind of a round robin effect there, but if we just think about the word ministry, it literally means like if you have the gift of ministry, it means that you have the gift to serve, like you serve other people and you put other people first. And so when we minister to the Lord, then what we're doing is serving the Lord. Now, the question you have to say is, well, what does it mean to serve the Lord? And certainly there's different aspects of that. If you think about like the priest in the Old Testament, they ministered unto the Lord. Well, what did they do? They made the sacrifices. They took care of the candle wick. They made sure that there was oil and there was, logs on the altar and, all of those things that had to happen so that the temple could function or so the tabernacle could function.
Right.
But there's this interesting thing. I had to look it up real quick so that I could make sure I got it right. But in Acts 13, now in the church that was at Antioch, there were certain prophets and teachers, Barnabas, Simeon, and another called Niger, Lucius of Cyrene, and Manaen, who had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul, as they ministered to the Lord, listen to this, and fasted. As they ministered to the Lord and fasted.
Oh, yeah.
The Holy Spirit said, now separate to me Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I have called them.
Yeah.
The first thing that we do when we minister to the Lord is to, as Kirk was just saying, to get alone with him, to pray to him.
Yeah.
The Lord loves think about for a moment, like have you ever had like the proud dad moment when your kids come to you and ask you something that you have knowledge about and you're like,
perfect analogy.
There's this video I keep thinking that keeps playing through my head is when there's this guy's obviously an older dad, he's got the dad shoes and the socks are pulled halfway up to his knees and he's wearing jorts and, he's
jorts. I got my George shorts.
Right. And so, I
still have those.
And so his son says, he tells it's his son. He's like, if only we had a piece of wood, like this big.
I
know what I'm talking about?
Exactly that
And
video. And I love it.
I think that's in Kentucky.
Yeah. I think
and
you see that smile.
And he like smiles. He's like, and he goes running out
Like
to the garage,
slow-mo.
digging through this stuff, and he pulls out this block of wood that we all probably have in our garage.
I got 4 of them.
It is
pulls out his tape measure, and it's exactly 11
and he's
and a quarter.
like, all excited. But have you ever had that moment when your kids ask you something? I mean, like for me, it's always Bible stuff, and my kids come to me like, "Dad, I wanted to ask you about the Bible." I'm like, "Oh, pull up a seat, let's go, kids." And I think that what I'm trying to say here is that when we get before the Lord and we ask him, when we do what he's told us that we can do, he's made it up. I mean, can you imagine from the Lord's perspective? He's literally said, I've opened my throne room to you. I've torn the temple veil from the top to the bottom. You can come to me. And yet we keep still trying to keep doing it ourselves. And that's got to be frustrating at some point to be like, you could just come to me. You could come and you could ask. And
I would have given you the answer about 8 years ago.
That's right. And so to minister to the Lord, I think number one is to say that you are praying to him, you're requesting of him, you're fasting, you're getting before him. They ministered to the Lord and fasted, and the Holy Spirit spoke to them. And then number two, the Lord says, even if you give a glass of water in his name, remember when he said, he's given the parable and he said, when you saw me naked and
you clothed
poor,
me.
you clothed me, you did this. And they were like, when did we see you naked? When did we see you in prison and visit you? When did we do these things? And he said, when you did it to the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. And so when we minister to the Lord, we minister to the Lord by ministering to other people. That's what I said earlier. It's kind of like this round robin effect that says when we do something in the name of the Lord, not to better ourselves, not to get something out of it. And I think I'm not trying to, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm bragging in some way about our church, but when I think about our church and when I think about our school and I think about our thrift store and I think about, here we are, I mean, as a church as a whole, we are kind of really putting ourselves out there. None of what we are doing is self-seeking. Everything we're doing is putting ourselves, it's like everything has a mission for someone else. In any part of it, have you all noticed, like we get nothing. Yeah. Like there's no part of it that's like, okay, well, we're going to do this and this and this, and then we're going to build bigger facilities or put out parking. I mean, parking lots and facilities are a necessity, and we have to have them. Yet at the same time,
like we're growing all those things to serve the next growth area of ministry,
right?
Yeah. And it's again, I feel sometimes it's like, oh, we're patting ourselves on the back, but no, I see the connection now. I just couldn't articulate it well before, but yeah. Like when we're ministering to others, that is, man, it's so cool. I'm glad you did that. You mentioned that. That was good for me. I don't know.
As we've been talking, my wife keeps texting me about the thrift store, and she's like, "There's like 30 people in here." So
I love that.
I was so proud of Ben, one of our principals at school. He came to the thrift store on opening day, and then he was gone. And I was like, "Oh, did Ben leave?" And somebody said, "No, he's out making deliveries for people. People were buying stuff, and then he's like, 'Oh, throw it in my truck,' and he was driving it out to them and taking it to them."
I love that.
Man, and there were probably, you all saw for yourselves. You were there. Y'all were there. There was probably
ridiculous.
40. Probably 40 volunteers. People that again,
that was unbelievable.
Get absolutely nothing from being there, other than the fact that we got to serve other people, help other people, pray with other people, and then the result of that is that we're going to fund the school. We're helping to further that. Eventually we're going to run into a brick wall that says there's only so many students you can have and so much space you have because there's only so much you have. And donations or whatever. And so we're opening that line up, and you have all of these people that, I mean, I look at it and I go, man, I mean, their kids are too old to go to the school or couldn't even get in because there's, it's already full for next year or whatever.
And yet they're serving anyway.
Here they are serving anyways.
It's so good.
So, truly that's ministering unto the Lord. And so, it all comes back around again. Here it is at that idea of intent. If you're serving the Lord out of obligation, out of annoyance, because nobody else will do it, that's when the burnout happens.
Yeah.
That's when I think you lose the joy. When it's the other way that says, I'm serving the Lord because I'm so excited about what he's doing in me, because I have this joy of salvation and what he's done for me. And so I would want to give anything to him. There are some people that I would do anything for. Some of y'all are at the table. Like, you've done so much already that I'm like, I'll use Paul as an example. Paul came to my house and my wife had died, and Paul came over and worked out with me. And, I'm sure in some way, Paul was always so kind to talk about like great workouts and this or that or the other. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I appreciate my brother coming over and spending time with me when I was at a very low point in my life. And so if Paul looked at me right now and was like, Justin, I need somebody to come do X, I'm there, because you did that for me. Like, it's in my head to say, like, even if I didn't really necessarily want to, I would, because I love you and I care about you. And so I feel like when we think about what the Lord did for us, and then when we serve him from that perspective that says he's done so much for me, how would I ever want to tell him no? Of course I want to, go serve at a thrift store and sell people's old jeans.
Yeah.
Those old jeans are the pricey ones. They got the holes in them,
That's
Not
right.
at our
That's right.
store. They're all the same.
Yeah, well,
$8.
$8. That's right.
$8 get you some jeans.
Oh,
Some good jeans too.
We had lots of good things said there. All right, man. We're at about an hour and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Bill.
That's
You
right,
took
that's
the
right.
words out of my mouth.
Yeah. This was good.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was really fun. I hope that we can maybe do this again next week. So.
And wait, is that an hour and 20 after you actually hit record?
No, it's an hour and 7 on record, and I think we were about 9 minutes into yapping in the beginning. So,
Count me in. I love this. I just love talking with my brothers. It's always good.
Same.
I feel being in ministry from a pastoral standpoint. I see Bill every now and then when he's up solving some of the magics up there behind the AV side of things. But for me, man, it's just so good to be around my brothers and just to talk the word. And as Bill said in the beginning, man, let's get deep. Yeah. And then someday we'll find some random YouTuber that's found something else that we're like, oh, did you hear about that thing? So, this is the beginning.
It was funny because I was genuinely nervous about this.
Really?
Well, because I had to tell Justin after the service, dude, we lost one of the delay ring speakers during your sermon. And so I said, did you see me up on the catwalk during your sermon? Because there were a number of people that were up there. I'm 34 feet off the ground, trying to be as quiet as possible and not distract what was going on. Oh, dude, I was tiptoeing and everything. And I was just, and so, it's another cool testament to understanding the infrastructure and how everything signal flow.
Yeah.
We got it going. And that last song was great, because now all of a sudden the auditorium was full.
Wow.
But it's just, boy, I'll tell you, what a challenge. But anyway, so I was nervous about the topic because I was like, okay, I know you're going to talk about the sermon. And I was like half
and
tuned
you were
out.
about to be a sermon illustration. You're about to be a podcast illustration from the sermon.
Either that or I was going to be a splat on the ground, one of the two. That would have been a scene.
Oh, man, yeah.
So,
hard pass.
Yeah.
No falling from the catwalk. Bill.
Yeah, please.
Or at all. I can always tell when something's wrong with AV by the speed of Bill's walk.
Yeah,
We need to rate it. That's a 9.
Yeah, that's right. There should be a grading on it. Like, okay, this is emergency. This is like, this is an annoyance.
Yeah. Well, so we can go back 2 years ago. Well, a year and almost a half that I took over, and I can remember the first time I actually had to go on stage for something in the middle of the service, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed. This is awful.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, move out of the way.
Yeah.
I need to fix this.
I don't know if you guys are like this, but like right now, listen to ourselves in headphones, and when you hear yourself online, I hear people say, "Oh, I can't stand the sound of my voice." I don't sound that way in my head, and then I hear it, and I even see people make little videos about it. Like when y'all, I've heard my own voice for so long
yeah.
that I don't hear any difference. Like when I talk out loud or when
you get so used to it.
You get used to it.
Yeah. It's with singers too.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
You know, so many, because you guys all at this table know, but I taught music for like 25 years and private vocal coaching was part of that.
Mm.
And so many times people would be like, oh, I just, you know, because one of the things I'll do is I'll record a song and then we'll listen back to it together. And I literally had a guy once say, I don't know if I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
He was like so anxious. I thought he was kidding. I thought he was kidding. And I was like, oh, it'll be okay. He was like, no, seriously, man, I'm so anxious about this. I was like, dude, there's nobody here, you know, but I had,
it's challenging at times.
Oh man, so many people just don't want to hear their voices.
At one time I had a sermon that I thought was really, really bad. And it was after I got married to Kelly, and she was playing it back, trying to make a little reel, and she kept playing the same spot
over
and we're in the car,
like,
and finally I just kind of snapped. I mean, not like snap.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Could you stop playing that?" And she was like, "What? What is so wrong?" And I'm like, I told you I didn't think that sermon was good." And I think she doesn't like believe me when I say I don't think a sermon was good. I think she's like, you know, oh, you know, it was good, and I'm like, no, I really don't think that was good, and so.
Yeah.
You know,
you've told me that before, and I've straight up, brother, told you that's not the one I watched.
Man, I'm telling you, I know I can be critical. I have to rebuke that sometimes because I'm like, I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be
overly critical.
I don't want to be disrespectful to the Spirit. I don't want to be like, if the Spirit's moving, what's it matter what I think, you know? But I do struggle with that. But I'm just saying, like hearing my voice in that, and it was like a spot when I really didn't love the spot either. And so, and if you've ever done a reel, like you have to keep like cutting it and replaying it and replaying it. And I'm just driving and it was like nails on a chalkboard. I'm like, could you just stop it? Just quit playing that spot. Oh man, well guys, this has been loads of fun. Let's try to get together next week if we can. We'll do it again. And who knows what we'll be talking about. We'll have a week in the thrift store, and Trump's got a week to screw something. Never mind.
I know what pictures will be posted between now and then.
He's using too much liberty there. I'm all about some liberty, but what are you posting, man? Blasphemy shouldn't be it.
No. I'm gonna do a deep dive in that picture, so I'm gonna take another look at it. I feel like there's so many things that I missed, but I'm excited next week, man. I'm hoping the news stays relatively calm. I mean, we want peace in our time, but
for sure,
I don't see that in our future. So I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah, I think there's a end to the ceasefire in the near future too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Guys.
All right, y'all.
Wars and rumor of wars.
That's right. Yeah.
2 more nights.
I couldn't even spit it out.
2 more nights. I'm almost going to do one verse on Wednesday. We'll see. Because that last verse I had to cut off last week. I didn't get to it. So I'm like, can I do the whole thing on that one?
I love the one verse sermons.
Sometimes they can be deep.
Yeah.
So
nice.
All right, y'all. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yep.